We are all set then for what is going to be an absolutely fantastic London E-Prix. The first practice session is underway here for the finale. Rounds 15 and 16 of the ABB FIA Formula E Championship takes part here in London. Let's head over to our commentary team for this session. Tom Brooks alongside Karun Chandhok and Alan McNish.
Hardest uphill task going into this weekend.
Yeah, he's a sort of outside bet, isn't he? He's fourth in the championship at the moment. A bit of debris on the track there, but he's he is the outside bet. But in terms of momentum, he's the one who's won 4 out of the last 5 races, 6 out of the last 9 that he was the winner on the road. Got disqualified in Misano earlier on. And we've seen some weird and wacky finishes in Formula E seasons before, haven't we? So you can't fully discount him.
Yeah, absolutely. Technically 7 drivers in with a shout of winning the title coming into this one. But like I say, realistically, around about 4. You can see a few changes to the circuit here at London as well. Going into turn 16 where attack mode will be activated, some construction work has gone on here at the XL. So as we hear Scott Elkins.
Race control. Full course yellow in 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow. Full course yellow.
So just doing a full course yellow systems check to make sure the drivers and the teams can hear all the radio signals all the way around the circuit. But as I said, some construction work's gone on here at the XL, means that turn 16, the hairpin bend where attack mode will be activated, is now indoors. Last year it was outdoors, and now, as a result of that, they actually had to reprofile the corner a little bit. We walked around it earlier, Alan, and a little bit wider by the looks of things going into there.
Yeah, a little bit wider. It's still off a bumpy, difficult entry. So from that point of view, I think we'll see the cars moving around a lot when they're still on wide open throttle coming into it.
Okay, teams.
But it was also pretty slippery when they got there, and we saw a spin earlier on in shakedown.
5,
yeah.
4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag, green flag.
So green flag flies as the full course yellow safety test gets finished and we get running back underway. It was Mitch Evans, the driver, just sitting behind teammate Nick Cassidy at the moment, who had that spin in the shakedown session. Now, Jaguar have got a real opportunity to take the team's title here this weekend. They've got a 33-point advantage as it sits over Tag Heuer Porsche, who are in second place. They need to have a 48-point lead at the end of Saturday to be crowned as it, but they can, of course, do it on Sunday as well. But the difficulty they've got, Karun, in particular, is the fact that the drivers aren't going to be able to work together because they've got their own team drivers' titles to be thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely that. But I think on the upside, both drivers are going to be pushing hard to get the best result they can, the maximum number of points they can, and obviously that'll end up benefiting the team. So I think they're pretty safe with that points gap they've got in the team championship. Which one of the drivers is going to win the championship, though? That is the much bigger question, I think.
Yeah, I agree they are pretty safe, but that doesn't mean to say fully safe. When they went into the double weekend at Portland, they were so far ahead, we thought it was a foregone conclusion that they would actually win the team's title. In fact, big chance that they won it in Portland. As it came out, then that gap has been more than halved. So now then we're in that position where that, you know, it is a game on. And I think to some extent, from Porsche's point of view, they're now behind, so the pressure's off them. The pressure is actually fully on Jaguar and both Jaguar drivers. Only one of them can potentially win it in reality.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be quite, I think, Saturday and Sunday, especially Saturday, is going to be a really, really intense fight.
Certainly is. Apologies for the loss of pictures that we've got here in London at the moment. As soon as we can bring them back to you, we will try our best to be able to do so. A couple of technical problems just on the ground here at the moment, but it gives us a chance to look at the resplendent London skyline, which is, thankfully, a lot drier than it was this time last year. If you remember back to Sunday, we had an hour and a half's worth of rain delays, didn't we?
Yeah. It's, oh, look at that. There's a Chinook helicopter going by as well. What a great shot of that. Yeah, I mean, it's the weather, summer's finally arrived in London, isn't it? As we have a look at the points table there. So we got, obviously, Nick Cassidy coming off the back of a 0-0 score in Portland. So no points added there on a weekend where he could have clinched the title. And then he's got 12 points of a buffer between himself, Mitch Evans, and Pascal Wehrlein. But the man with momentum is in fourth, as I said before. Antonio Felix da Costa, he is 33 points behind. So
Yeah, sizable gap there, isn't there, going on? Da Costa, as we say, technically still within a shout. 3 points, the difference between himself and Oliver Rowland. You can see a little bit further down the order. The likes of Sebastian Buemi not had a particularly brilliant season. Jake Hughes up there in 11th place. But a few rumours going around at the moment that he's not going to be lining up with Neil McLaren going into season 11 of Formula E. He's had a good run of form over the course of 2024. And the smart money would be on the fact that he's probably going to be angling for a factory drive somewhere. I can't see a reason why you'd want to leave McLaren, a team that have got fantastic form in lots of different categories otherwise.
Yeah, I guess so. I think that there's a lot of movement going on in the driver market. There seems to be quite a few drivers, A, out of contract, B, looking to move teams at the end of this year. So here we have a look at the points and some of the permutations. Well, not the permutations, but the points available for the weekend. So obviously, on every day, we've got 29 points available to score, 58 across the weekend.
Well, so basically, what Cassidy needs in order to be crowned as the champion tomorrow is he needs a podium. He needs to be 30 points ahead to guarantee him a buffer. He could be 29 points ahead, but that depends on the countback. So 30 points would give him that safety net going into Sunday. At the moment, 12 points is the advantage. If you consider Portland, 25 points is his advantage going into that weekend. But then that double non-score, it was a torrid weekend for him by all accounts. And that put him on the back foot and left him under a lot of pressure. We even heard during Shakedown earlier on, him on the team radio, just sounding a little bit stressed. Nick Cassidy, this is.
Yeah, and for Nick, it's obviously quite an intense time because, he's been, I would say, easily at the head of the championship for pretty much all the races. He had such a strong run all the way up to Portland. We thought he was going to be in prime position on Saturday night with an easy victory, and he dropped the ball. First time I think we've seen him dropping the ball himself all season, and now the pressure is on. His lead is down to 12 points, as we see there, and not just with his teammate but also Pascal Wehrlein. And look at Da Costa coming up, because Antonio Felix Da Costa is really on the momentum. He's on the roll at the moment.
Let's have a look at the team's championship then, just going into this one. So you can see Jaguar TCS Racing there, 33 points the advantage that they have over Tag Heuer Porsche coming into this weekend. You've got DS Penske and Andretti, as well as Nissan, not too far adrift of one another. Good opportunity for them to change things around. Interesting, the big movers in Portland were Envision. They jumped up from 9th in the standings to 7th, now leapfrogging themselves ahead of Maserati, courtesy of a double podium for Robin Freund, scoring more points in one weekend than he had all season up until that point.
They've had a pretty disappointing season, though, isn't it? As defending champions coming into this year, to spend so long languishing down the bottom of the points is pretty disappointing. Okay, I know they've dragged it up into 7th place, but they're going to, as a team boss, Alan, you've been in that position. There's going to be a lot of soul-searching between now and the start of next season, isn't there?
Well, I think there's two things. One, the car didn't evolve, and they were the team's champions, as we said last year, but it's a gap between the front and where they are. It's not just 7th, it's the huge gap.
Yeah, it has been a disappointing season for Vision, absolutely no doubt about that. And the likelihood is we're going to see a changed lineup next year. Will it be both drivers? We understand that Robin Freund was the driver who was on the bubble, but then the double podium that he got, as I said, in Portland would have helped his cause. But then if you look on the other side, Sebastian Buemi, he's still a champion. That's still going to carry some weight, surely.
I don't know, past success doesn't guarantee future performance, doesn't it? And I think...
Especially the longer you go in your career, it guarantees it even less and less. I think basically from Envision they might need freshness in both their driver lineup, because they need something to reinvigorate the team, that's for sure. And there is an element that can either come from the engineering, it can come from the drivers, it can come from a lot of different areas, but they do need something to move things forward. As we see here from the trophy leader, it's Porsche that's leading the team, the manufacturer's trophy at the moment, but Jaguar are right on the back of that, so it could be a triple crown for Jaguar, but it could also quite easily be a triple crown for Porsche on the other side.
Yeah, it certainly could be. Jaguar are hoping for strong things coming into this weekend, thanks to Sam Smith of the race telling us that he spoke to Phil Charles, formerly of Jaguar, saying that the Jaguar was specifically designed with this circuit in mind. So expect them to have a strong showing here this weekend. If you can consider back to last year, double win for them courtesy of Mitch Evans in the factory Jaguar, and then in the Envision at the time, Nick Cassidy also taking the checkered flag. So there's a really good opportunity for them to not only take the team's championship, but also overhaul Porsche in the manufacturer's trophy as well. The thing is, they'll hope that Envision can continue the run of form that they had a couple of weeks ago in Portland and bring them further up the order as well. So apologies again for the continued loss of pictures at the moment. 19 minutes and 24 seconds left of this session at the moment. According to our timing screens, Sebastian Buemi currently quickest with a 1 minute 12.321. Jake Dennis second on a 1:12.5. Stoffel Van Dorn just a couple of hundredths of a second away from him at the moment, then just ahead of Jake Hughes in the Neon McLaren, and Oliver Rowland inside the top 5 as well. Also returning to Formula E this weekend off the back of illness, which unfortunately demoted him an opportunity to compete in Portland. Wasn't able to fly as a result of what we understand was an inner ear related problem, causing him a bit of dizziness, a bit of vertigo. It wasn't safe for him to fly, and he was replaced by Kyle Gillette for that weekend. But this is a track that he's got an opportunity to do something good at and possibly be the real upset this weekend. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, it's a case of what if, isn't it, for him as well as Da Costa in terms of the championship, because I think Roland's driven a great season, and we look back at the former champions on screen here. You know, Roland hasn't won a championship. He's been, I think, one of the standout drivers. I don't think the Nissan powertrain and car package has been as good as the Jaguar or the Porsche, yet he's been punching well above his weight and delivering really consistently strong performances. He's aggressive when he needs to be in the races. He's smart and calculating when he needs to be in other instances. And, you know, he had the DNF in Misano, which cost him a heap of points even before Portland. And really, without those, he would be right up there between Cassidy and Evans, maybe, in the points battle.
Yeah, he's only led the championship once in his entire Formula E career, and that was after Misano when he took the victory on Saturday. Great to see that we are now back to live pictures with just under 18 minutes left of the session, so a bit of a Control-Alt-Delete situation going on. We know there's been a few technical problems around the world today, and now with FP1 well into its stride, we can see that Jean-Eric Vergne is currently quickest from Sebastian Buemi and Maximilian Günther. Oliver Rowland there in 4th ahead of Jake Dennis, Nick Cassidy, Stoffel Van Dorn, Jake Hughes, Sam Bird, and Antonio Felix da Costa currently rounding out the top 10 with plenty of running left to go in the session. So looking here at Oliver Rowland making his way through turn 16, as we said earlier on, newly reprofiled corner that one, and also now indoors crucially as well. So a lot different compared to last year. This bit, though, of the circuit is not so different. This is where we had a car park situation, I think on one or maybe 2 occasions last year, wasn't it?
Well, there were 18 cars parked out there. I remember my kids were in the grandstand, and because it all goes silent, they shouted at me from across the grandstand in the pit lane and went, "Why are all the cars parked over there, Dad?"
It was like Piccadilly Circus at rush hour, wasn't it?
It was very amusing. Hopefully we won't see that again. So they've come in, change tyres. Jean-Eric Vergne, he's not had a great run of form here at this London track, has he?
No.
It's not been one of his sort of happy hunting grounds.
No, it really isn't. You can say that again. He's never scored a point when we've raced here at Excel, and has only started in the top 10 once, and that was back in 2022 when we were in Gen 2, clattering over the curbs.
Maybe one of the reasons why is the way that he attacked that particular curb was maybe not the smoothest way. This area here, though, is I think one of the trickier parts. You see, thread it down through what is effectively a roundabout and then back out. But as you can see, there's grip changes all the time, and it's been something that seems to be a struggle for the DS.
It's an interesting point, that, actually, because we do have 2 very different styles, or multiple different styles of surface, but especially indoors to outdoors is the main outlier. Indoors, it's like a sandpaper style material, really abrasive, you know, rough on your feet sort of thing. Outdoors, you've got mixtures of concrete and tarmac.
Yeah, it's been sprayed inside.
Hold it. Okay, go for it.
So I think they're just working on a run plan there for Jean-Eric Vergne, but continue where you were.
I was saying it's a sort of been a sprayed material that's on here, so it has got a very, very rough. It is literally, I rubbed it earlier on with my hand, and it just about peels the skin off your fingers because it is like that sandpapery. But you have got this changing grip as you're going through the corner where it goes inside and out.
Oh, darling, your poor hands, not done any work.
Well, to be honest with you, my hands haven't done a lot of work at all in my life, so...
You're for a pedicure after this, all of that.
I've already had it, thank you.
So just looking here then at Nick Cassidy, currently 6th fastest in the Jaguar. As we mentioned earlier on, seemed like he's under a little bit of pressure on the radio.
Copy, yep.
That was insightful chat there. Good.
I think we get a bit more than that. That's just the voice of his race engineer, Phil Ingram. Let's have a little bit more.
Okay, 16, 17 at my worst corners, around the Galaxy cut, turn 18.
Copy, yep, timing agrees with that.
It's incredibly tight, this circuit, isn't it? You know, we saw it bottlenecking up. We saw this man, you know, coming to blows with his teammate last year in one of the tightest sections in the first sector.
Yeah, you know, I was watching back the highlights of that race, and you just, even now, you're on a sort of screaming at the TV saying, it's just mismanaged. You know, the team completely mismanaged that race. They should have called the team orders earlier, just given Cassidy a track position, and he would have won the race, probably won the championship. And you know, the whole thing was just they tried to control too much, and they tried to overcomplicate it. Whereas sometimes you just got to be simple about the way you run that situation. Let the drivers sort it out.
I think that's one of the risks this weekend by both Porsche and Jaguar, is they've both got two drivers in a fight for slightly different fights in some respects, but it can be too complicated to manage. And you know, from a team perspective, you want to try to manage it, but you can't basically manage every scenario, especially with drivers with a helmet on when the visor goes down.
Yeah, but the Jag one, I think actually in some ways they can't manage it. I think it's going to be stressful watching, but they're both in the fight, right?
Yeah.
You can't have team orders because they're both in the title fight. They both got a chance.
All you can do is at one point freeze it if you have got a situation where you're 1-2. But at the end of the day, with the total knowledge that one of the drivers may not listen to that radio message.
Yeah, there's no way. 100% the driver in second at that point is going to have a hearing failure.
Hearing failure.
But we've spoken about Jaguar and about the fact that we were expecting a little bit of needle between those two very sort of alpha, strong characters, you know, in terms of the dynamic between them. And it's kind of not really bubbled over. But now we're literally getting to crunch time. This is the opportunity where we'd expect to see tensions beginning to flare.
Yeah, and then, you know, we're talking obviously about the title contenders, but then you lob in the likes of Frines, you know, desperate for a win this season.
Desperate for a job next season.
Yeah, Roland as well, you know, trying to win on home ground. There are other contenders in there, and they're not going to let these guys just have the racetrack to themselves.
Certainly are, as we look at Evans just moving out the way of a bit of lap traffic there. Frines currently quickest, that's his teammate Sebastian Buemi, 8th fastest for the Envision at the moment. As we said, expect the Jaguar power cars to go pretty well here. Coming over the rise in towards the final sector. Unique characteristics of this circuit. And then through the final corner. This is where we set the indoor land speed record last year, courtesy of Jake Hughes in the Gen 3 beta car. And looking at Frines making his way through this section. Now, I reckon traffic's going to be a bit of a problem, you know, coming into qualifying, especially in the group stages. 11 cars out on track. I mean, I know that it's a bit exacerbated here in the practice session because you've got all 22 out on track at one time, but especially in the group stages where the track funnels down, we could see drivers getting impeded.
Yeah, I think that's always going to be an event, especially with the end of a lap like this, where actually you need to be completely to the right, and we're having it right now as Jake Dennis is finishing his lap and the car directly ahead of him is just starting. And so with Oliver Rowland just coming into the final corner, wanted to maximize his acceleration, which ultimately did compromise Dennis very slightly in that occasion. But it could easily, if Dennis had been half a second later and it was qualifying, then it would have been a 10th or 2 loss, and we know that can be the difference between going through and not.
Let's have a look here at Robin Frines, just coming down into the chicane. Goes off onto the Julius Baer advertising hoarding.
Just not sure where to go, I think, here.
No.
As he's caught up.
Well, not straight ahead, because there's a bit of Tech Pro barrier there.
Yeah, but that's very difficult then, because actually if you do go down there, you have to kind of do quite a bit of a loop to get back in. So it's a huge time loss if you over brake coming down into the chicane.
Yeah, good job with the marshal there on the left, though, who was, you know, watching the traffic and gave Robin the thumbs up to rejoin the circuit. So, yeah, I thought that was quite well managed in them.
So just over, or just now 10 minutes left of the Free Practice 1 session here in London. Let's go down to Saunders in the pit lane for the first time. Who have you found, Saunders?
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I'm here with Sylvain Philippi. Now, you know what it's like to be in a position here in London going for a team's championship. Now, that is obviously the case for the manufacturer side of your customer relationship. Has there been any sort of discussion about maybe you helping them in some way?
Not really. As you know, it's really difficult to orchestrate anyway. I mean, for sure, like what we would do all season anyway, we try really, really hard to not be in the way and not impede each other because that's the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, we need to move forward in the championship. We need a win. We need to finish the season on a high note. So, yeah, very difficult to orchestrate. We would, of course, never do anything that impedes them. But, you know, on the flip side, we are racing, right? So.
Well, let me put a hypothetical out there. We're at the race tomorrow, and Robin Frijns is doing just what he's doing now, just what he did in Portland. He's up there in the top 3. He's in the lead, but Jaguar need the win to get the points. What happens in that situation?
We shall see. We shall see, but, you know, we are racing. I need a win too, so, you know, I think, look, Jaguar have a comfortable lead. I really hope they win it. They have a very comfortable lead on the team side. So, yeah, I really hope they swing it. It's not really now... It's not in my job description to give them points away. But, look, let's see what happens. I mean, these races, so much is going to happen anyway. Between teams themselves, within the teams. Let's see.
That's what we'd like to hear. Thanks, Sylvain.
Thank you.
Good to hear there from Sylvain Philippi for Envision. 8 minutes left then of this session. So just under 8 minutes to go of free practice 1. Pascal Wehrlein, championship contender, currently fastest from fellow championship contender Mitch Evans. So Porsche ahead of Jaguar at this stage of the session. Just a notice that's come up on our timing screen whilst this session continues. Dan Tickton under investigation for not following race directors in instructions. Not entirely sure what that entails at the moment, but either way, he could be on for a visit to the steward's office. And a slap on the wrist, maybe even a penalty. We'll keep you updated with that story as it develops. Now, Oliver Rowland back in the Nissan here this weekend after missing at Portland. He's not hanging about here, is he?
No, you see the car moving around. It looks quite bumpy on that back straight. And the run from the chicane at 12-13 all the way to 16. They got a couple of kinks. You really see the cars bouncing around and trying to get it stopped for 16 when you come through 15. Is very tricky, but Rowland's, you know, he's a hustler. Really, sort of bullying the lap line.